Hey my friends, welcome back to a new video. There's something I want to share with you today because sometimes we just need to create that great release so we can fully experience who we are and what's our path. Because sometimes we may feel a bit lost, and sometimes we may fall into lower emotions, and sometimes we just start sabotaging ourselves just because we look around us and we feel like something is missing, like something is not moving forward. So my friends, for this video I'm playing for you Painting into the Heart. It's the painting which represents a path into the heart, a path to freedom or towards freedom. And it's not an actual path, it's more like a release of the old toxic behaviors, thoughts, beliefs and habits, so we can fully align ourselves with our mission, with our deepest heartfelt desires and goals and inspirations and everything we want to do. So my friends, the first thing that I want to mention here is to leave behind what is not helping you to move forward. You know that the past cannot be changed, but we can learn so much from our past. When I say leave behind what is not helping you to move forward, we truly need to pay attention to what we are constantly repeating that is actually not helping us to be in that greater state of happiness and appreciation. Because even, sometimes we think we should be perfect to be great, but you don't need to be perfect to be great. You're already great. And what you actually need to do is to embody more of that greatness in your daily life. To actually ask yourself how your future version looks like. And sometimes I'm doing that visualization practice where I'm visualizing, like walking towards my future self, however you want to see it. Try to visualize your future self and then walk towards it and look at the eyes of your future self and ask your future self what you need to change in your life to get to that dimension, to get to that point, to get to that state of being. And often we experience a result in a feeling or in a thought or in a term of inspiration, as I mentioned yesterday. And it's truly powerful when we start doing this kind of practices, because this is how we tap into our power, and we actually use the power of intentions and the power of focus and the power of awareness to redesign our lives the way we want to live them. Because so often we may focus just on certain goals, and then we may find out that it's much harder to reach those goals than we thought, and we start pushing things and we start forcing things. And every time we start forcing things, we create that opposite vibrational effect where it feels like we're kind of attracting things, but at the same time we're pushing them away. So we may see some results that we're doing the right thing, but at the same time it feels so much of heaviness while we're walking towards that wanting destination. So once we learn to align ourselves with ourselves by releasing what is not helping us to grow, we create that beautiful momentum where things just starts flowing, and we know that we're in the flow because we feel creative, we feel passionate, we feel inspired, we feel truly joyful about doing things, and we feel like everything is just moving in the right direction with the right pace, and that's beautiful. So my friends, leave behind what is not helping you to move forward. And if you're questioning, like, what are all the things, can you give some examples? I will give you some examples. Think about how you're thinking about yourself right at this moment. What are the first thoughts that come to your awareness when you're thinking about yourself? What are the first thoughts? And truly pay attention to that, because those are the thoughts you're thinking about yourself on conscious and subconscious level. And most of the time we're not aware of that, but we can become aware of it. we can become greater observers of what is happening, because we can only change something we are aware of. We can only release or let go of something we are firstly aware of, right? If you're not aware of how you're thinking, it will be really hard to change something. It will be really hard to create that release. Then you can look at your habits in your life and see what you're constantly repeating. What are habits? Habits are consistently repeated actions, which we repeated them so often, so frequently, that they became automatic. So it doesn't mean that to change a habit is hard. We just need to be aware, and we need to know for what will we replace it. That's how we are releasing something that is not helping us to move forward. And of course, there comes a question. Well, what could be a replace for that energetic bond? What could be a replace, right? And we ask ourselves, what will help us to become who we want to be? Or what can we do right now to embody more of who we want to be? And I'm sure that you will experience many answers, right? So be truly aware when it comes to your thoughts, when it comes to your emotions, and when it comes to your actions. One thing that I also want to mention about emotions, we are learning to regulate them, which means that we are learning to change our emotional state on demand, which means that we are slowly getting to the point where we will not be victims of external circumstances anymore, but rather the creators of them. And if we want to become creators, we need to have our emotions in kinda control, which doesn't mean that we truly control our emotions, but we learn to regulate them. So, of course, it's a long process, because through generations and generations, we've been programmed to always emotionally react and respond to what's happening around us. But as we slowly are becoming more aware of how to, become alchemists, and rather than reacting to what's happening, we redesign our vision for the future, and we ask ourselves, how can we adapt our thoughts, feelings, and actions right at this moment to start walking that new path? And that's what is creating new effects. So to raise your emotional state, you of course need to have a clear vision for the future, so you can see yourself there, so you can feel how it would feel like. And the practice with your future self can be really powerful, because you will always feel the presence of your future self. You will feel it. If you are truly present with that practice, you will feel the presence, and you know that your future self is empowered, it's grounded, it's present, it's joyful, it's passionate, it's in love with life. And once you sense that energy, you just don't want to go back into the lower states. You don't want to go back into your old self. There's some work to do, and you will feel inspired to do that work. So always remember that. The second thing I want to mention here is that opinions don't define your reality. To me, opinions are guiding points to the truth. And if we question them, is it real? Does it make sense? We may find greater truth in what we are hearing. Because sometimes you may hear opinions of others about yourself, and those opinions are not real, but they can still help you to find some aspects of yourself of which you were not aware of before. Because sometimes we're not fully aware of how we are acting in the world, how we are talking and communicating. And when we hear some opinions of others, not that they are real, but we can always find some truth in them. So rather than judging them, or rather than just reacting to them, we can observe them and we can ask ourselves, can I learn something from here? That's where we go again from victims to observers, from observers to creators. So you see, it is a huge shift, and it's not an easy shift. It's not easy to go from a victim to an observer, but that's where we truly need to be aware and conscious, really present within ourselves and fully grounded. So that's why we are meditating, that's why we are grounding our energy, that's why we are present within ourselves and practicing that self-kindness. So when some hard things may happen, we may feel calm and we may respond out of calmness. So we are actually training ourselves like athletes are training themselves for a certain competition. We are training ourselves to truly work consciously when we are moving through different circumstances, right? So we are a work in progress. And remember, you don't need to be perfect to be great. You're already great. And at the same time, you are a work in progress. So always remember that. The third thing I want to mention is that feeling worthy comes from being true to yourself. You know how often we say that we will do certain things that seem important to us, but then we distract ourselves. How often it happened to you? You know that you want to do something because you felt inspired, you felt that soul call to do that. But then something happened, something distracted you, and you've started doing some other things. And at the end of the day, you felt unworthy of what you actually wanted to do. You see, your soul is calling you. Often we may hear that inner calling to do something. Often we may hear that inner inspiration to make certain changes, and sometimes we may feel like to make a change in our diet or the way we eat. Not that there's something wrong, but we just feel curious to try some new things. Or sometimes it's same with working out, with being active, or sometimes we want to try a longer meditation. Like, let's say today I feel inspired to meditate for 1 hour and I want to try it. Or sometimes we just feel, well, today I want to do something kind for somebody. I want to embody or I want to be present in a certain act of kindness, because that act of kindness always sparks another, and we want to be a part of that. But then there's something distracts us and we forget about those things, and at some point we start to feel unworthy. And if we are constantly practicing being unworthy, it may happen that the next time you will feel inspired to something, before you will even think about it, you will already feel unworthy. So feeling worthy comes from being true to yourself. Truly, from taking time to yourself. And sometimes we need to say no to other things, so we say yes to ourselves. Sometimes we need to say no to certain beliefs, so we can say yes to our inner joy and to our inner trust that things will work out. And sometimes we need to say no to certain pleasures, so we can say yes to a long-term happiness. And it is all an internal work. The thing is that nobody will see the progress when you're making it, but people will see how worthy you feel, because it's an energy we vibrate. It's something we carry on around. And once we truly feel worthy, our body posture change, the facial expression will change, the way you think will change, the way you talk will change, and the way you feel will change. And of course, because of all those changes, you will start just acting differently. And suddenly people will just ask you, what are you doing? You feel like you're not the same person anymore. It feels like you've changed in a positive way. Can you give me some practical advices? What can I do to be in that kind of vibrational state that you are What's your secret? And you will say, well, I've started appreciating my worth. I feel worthy. And you know what? I became more true to myself. I started doing the things that I feel that I need to do. And so many things changed. So remember that, my friends. The fourth thing I want to give you here is that you only fail if you quit. How often you have that dream, you have that heartfelt desire, and you know that you need to do that, but then you fail because you don't see the results. You know, when I've started that YouTube channel, I'm doing that for a while now, but at the beginning I've started making videos, something completely else. I've started making videos, some sounds of nature, and then I've started making music, like kind of melodies for meditations, and I've started putting that on YouTube, and nothing has any views, like 3, 4, 5 views on a video. And I thought, well, nothing is moving forward. So I quit. This is the time where I quit it. And then after a year, I noticed that, or it was a point of realization where, well, I've started a YouTube channel and I quit. You know, I had a dream, I had a vision. What happened? Well, maybe my dream was not the right one. So later, when I started doing something I truly love, you know, after I started painting, after I've fallen in love with truly doing that, I've started making this kind of videos. And one day I was meditating and I received an idea to combine paintings with messages, and that's where I've started doing that. And since then, my YouTube channel started growing really, really fast. So you see, sometimes we quit because we don't have the right dream, but never quit dreaming. You know, one dream is just leading you to another, and that another dream will be leading you to another. So never quit. Even if you quit what you're doing, never quit upon your dreams. Because you will notice that maybe what you've started at the beginning and didn't work was actually a preparation for something much greater. And that something much greater is beyond your imagination right now. It's beyond what you can see right now. But it is slowly aligning for you, like the universe is preparing you to manifest it. But before you will manifest it, you need to become that version which is ready to receive it. So how to become a version of yourself that is ready to receive it? Well, you will never know until you keep up with your dreams and goals and desires and missions that you feel deep inside your heart that you need to follow. So always pay attention to that. You only fail if you quit. So never quit on your dreams. And to me, this is really, really powerful, because that's what helped me to get where I am right now. And it works with everything. When I started my Etsy shop, nothing was selling. But now we've sold over thousands of prints. And you know, it's all about consistency, making progress, and improving ourselves in the areas where there's a space for improvement. So it's a common formula, but most people are aware of that formula, but still most people are not fully embodying it because they think that their dreams are just not for them. And maybe they are not, but as I mentioned, one dream will lead you to another and to another and to another, and suddenly you will say, well, so many things just aligned for me. Yes, because things are always aligning for you. I want to give you another thing that truly changed my life, and that is that you are deeply loved and supported all the time. So learn to trust by letting go of the worry, by letting go of those negative thoughts about yourself. So it doesn't mean that you should force positive thinking. It's a misconception or wrong way of looking at it. But it means that we need to recognize our self-image. We need to recognize how we see ourselves. And we need to express some love towards ourselves, because often we forget it. And it's easy to forget those things because if we go outside, we see people and we notice that most people are suffering. So we think that it's normal, it's like our natural state of being, but the truth is that it's not. We need to learn to love ourselves and to recognize that love is actually already present. It's a vibe, it's a state in which we feel good about ourselves, in which we feel aligned with ourselves, in which we feel creative and inspired and connected with ourselves. We're always supported, once we align our intentions with our actions, we'll feel the support, the universal support. And if you align your intentions with your actions, and at the same time, you know exactly what you want, you will start acting according to your new intentions. And so much will align for you, and you know that the universe always conspires to make things happen for you once you know what you want and you do something about it. So learn to trust by letting go of the worry. So if you're wondering, how can I let go of the worry? Well, you're always somebody who you are practicing to be. If you're constantly worrying about things, well, you're practicing worrying about things. So, we can only be in one state at one time. If we're worrying, we can't be grateful, we can't be joyful, we can't be passionate about something. So we need to pause ourselves. It's like, if you go swimming, you can't at the same time lay down under the sun, right? So if you're swimming in the ocean and you want to go laying under the sun, you firstly need to get out of the water so you can lay down. And it's same here. If you're worrying about something, you firstly need to slow yourself down a little bit, pause yourself, so you can get out of the emotional reaction. And then you check up what's happening in your mind. What are your thoughts right now? It's called receptive meditation, where you're just observing your mind, observing your thoughts. What's coming up? What's popping up? And you stop reacting to those thoughts. You stop judging yourself. You stop trying to control thoughts. You just see where your mind is. And then you guide your attention to something which can actually uplift you, like a wanting vision of your future self, or certain dreams, like they would be already present, to see them in your life. Not to lie to yourself, but to actually ask yourself how your life would be different if those things would be present. And of course, sometimes we don't believe that it works. That's why we need to reassure our beliefs a little bit, to read something which can help us, or to listen a story of somebody who went through that process and did those changes and changed his or her life. And we have everything in access. Information, books, podcasts, stories, movies, even music. Many artists which are actually making music out of their hearts, and you can hear really, really inspiring songs. So everything is already in your hands. You just need to know what to use to uplift yourself, and to actually recognize that, we use the term to uplift ourselves, but what we actually do, we cut the things which are putting us down, and suddenly we naturally feel uplifted. We naturally feel on high vibes. We naturally feel like we are the best version of ourselves, the version of ourselves that we are actually meant to be. So this is something that is truly life-changing. And once we become more aware of these things, so many things will just align for us. So many beautiful things will happen. And what I've learned also through that process is that we need to learn to celebrate. As much as we are joyful about good things, about positive things, we also need to celebrate lessons we've gained in challenging times, in hard times. Because if we only celebrate good things, we are kind of disrespecting the challenges and lessons that came to us in those challenging times. So we need to learn to appreciate everything. That's what will help us to be more connected with ourselves and to stay in those higher vibrations. So my friends, this is it for today. I'm sending you lots of love, blessings, and power. I hope you've enjoyed in today's message, and I hope you've enjoyed in today's painting into the heart. So my friends, open your heart and step a bit deeper into it. Embody its energy and express it. Become a channel of the energy of your heart. And you will see that it's a warm energy which is connecting us, uniting us, and helping each other to shine. So my friends, till next time, one love.